Nearly a year after an inmate was stabbed to death inside a prison in Jefferson County, federal prosecutors have now charged another inmate with first-degree murder. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. The victim's family has spent a year now protesting, calling, and pushing for answers. 9 News reporter Ria Jha joins us now after speaking with the family about what this charge means to them. Ria.
Yeah, for almost a year, this family has been asking the same questions. Why and how was Mauricio Thornwell killed in a federal prison? Even though prosecutors have given them a name now, his mom told me many of those questions still remain. There are some names you hope to see in a mailbox.
He wrote me all the time. He would make me cards. He drew them.
Until last year, it's what Consuelo Garcia looked forward to.
I love you and happy birthday, Mom. Love, Mauricio. My birthday is just a couple days before the day he died.
She spent the last year fighting for her son, Mauricio Thornwell. He was in custody at FCI Englewood.
The only information I was given by the federal FCI was that my son was found unresponsive.
Now, nearly a year later, another inmate at FCI Englewood, Eli Del Mastro, is charged with first-degree murder. The charging document says Del Mastro, quote, willfully, deliberately, maliciously killed Thornwell at FCI Englewood on September 24th. Del Mastro was and has been in custody ever since, but wasn't charged until this month.
If he's in a facility that's supposed to be locked up, that's supposed to be safe, why would it take almost a year?
West Metro Fire Dispatch. Over here at FCI Englewood, we have ourselves a medical emergency over here at the jail, a stabbing.
The coroner later told Mauricio's family he'd been stabbed to death. But Consuelo still knows almost nothing about what happened that night. One of the only clues she has came from Mauricio himself in the last letter he sent her.
Basically, the letter states that he's not sure why he's being transferred into solitary confinement.
Consuelo remembers the day he was moved into that unit. It was September 24th.
He was killed right away. The same day.
A murder charge answers the question of who prosecutors believe killed her son. But what about all the other questions Consuelo has spent nearly a year asking?
Why was he transferred? And why was he killed when he went into this other unit when there's supposed to be protection?
The family is hoping more details come out at Eli Del Mastro's next court hearing on September 4th. Because of the active case, the Federal Bureau of Prisons said no comment to my questions. Ria Jha, 9 News.
Ria, thank you. New tonight, a federal judge is once again blocking President Trump's executive order aiming to limit mail-in voting in the midterm elections. A U.S. district judge had removed 2 previous injunctions against the order after the U.S. Supreme Court found that one came in a lawsuit filed prematurely. Yesterday, that judge put a new temporary hold for 14 days. That's because opponents have filed a new round of lawsuits against the measures just days before the mail ballots begin to go out. The ruling is likely to be quickly repealed. 90% of voters in Colorado, by the way, cast their ballot by mail. The Colorado Secretary of State's office says dozens of confidential voters' profiles were accessed after an update to its website. It says 59 profiles were accessed after the Find My Voter Registration tool was updated. That happened on August 14th to comply with new requirements. The department says a function blocking access to the profiles was overridden during that update. Once it discovered the problem, the department said it reversed the update, identified all the voters whose profiles were accessed, tried to contact them, and worked to prevent the issue during future updates. This isn't the first time there have been problems with that website. In 2024, a spreadsheet posted to the website contained a hidden tab with voting system passwords. An investigation then found they were not intentionally posted, but suggested the agency require a more thorough review of documents before they're posted, better protection of passwords.
All eyes on the sky tonight for the near total lunar eclipse. We're taking a live look outside right now as the partial eclipse nears its peak. This one is unique because the moon is turning a reddish or a copper color. It's commonly known as a blood moon lunar eclipse. We were worried about seeing this celestial phenomenon because of the clouds, but hey, the weather held up. It's pretty cool. Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen is here to tell us more about that. It's great stuff, Corey.
Yeah, I can feel my cosmic energy being reset right now.
Yes.
So it's a good moon for me, and you've got plenty of time to see it. We've got about 8 minutes before it gets its maximum, which should cover about 95% of the moon, but we still have the second half to go. So second half time here is coming up at about 10:40. At 11:30, there'll still be a piece left. By midnight, it'll be just about over, and it'll be back to normal by 1 a.m. So it's a long eclipse, and we did have quite a bit of clearing here on the northeast part of the state. We're starting to clear out, at least far the storms go, for the rest of the state. So at least the rest of us are starting to catch a little bit of at least a glimpse. The viewing out here in McCook, Nebraska is poor. They're not going to be able to see that through those severe thunderstorms, unfortunately, but that's one of the few spots in our area. 95 is our forecast tomorrow as we focus on the heat, making a run at this record high temperature of 96 set last in 2012. There's going to be quite a bit of heat across the Front Range and Northeast Plains tomorrow, so the heat will take the main headline, but we are also going to see some thunderstorms tomorrow. They'll be kind of like today, low impact stuff. The higher impact stuff returns by Sunday. So I'll explain this 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
A protracted legal fight over where a retired grandmother from Texas can live has been put on pause. Tonight, 9 News Investigates learned that Peggy Hill can remain here in Colorado, at least for now. She's been living in Fort Collins with her grandkids, son and daughter-in-law, well past the 6 months a Texas-based guardianship had allowed. Hill had made it clear she does not want to go back to Texas to live there near her other sons in an assisted living facility in Dallas. Because of that, a judge in Texas demanded that her family here in Colorado explain why they shouldn't be held in contempt. And today we learned the judge will allow Hill to remain in Colorado in no small part because she is set to undergo surgery here next month. The judge also elected not to hold anyone in contempt. Last year, Hill's family agreed to let a guardianship make these decisions for her. It all got much more complicated when, according to what Hill recently told us, she fell in love with Colorado. An attorney representing Hill is now trying to transfer the guardianship permanently to Colorado.
A nightclub in Denver ordered to close after a security guard was accused of sexually assaulting an underage customer at gunpoint will now reopen. The city of Denver shut down Olympus Discotheque on North Broadway earlier this month, saying that security guard was unlicensed. The city also suspended its cabaret and liquor licenses. The nightclub will be allowed to reopen, we're told, if the owner pays a $2,000 fine. The owner would also have to employ at least 2 licensed security guards, have extra measures before people can enter, and install security cameras. A plan to build Colorado's second Buc-ee's location in El Paso County is allowed now to move forward despite significant pushback from people who live there, but it is far from a done deal. The Texas-based company wants to build a giant travel center off I-25 at Monument Hill. Earlier this summer, the county's director of planning and community development couldn't decide if it could be classified as a convenience store, which would allow it to be built there under current zoning rules. Buc-ee's appealed. Today, the Board of County Commissioners heard that appeal and a whole lot of comments from the public.
If simply selling some convenience items makes an establishment a convenience store, well, by this logic, Costco and Walmart are also convenience stores.
Referring to Buc-ee's as a convenience store is analogous to stating the Great Wall of China is just a backyard privacy fence.
So county commissioners approved the appeal after a more than 8-hour meeting. They point out there are still many more hoops for Buc-ee's to jump through to get approval to build there.
A road funding ballot measure that could have forced Colorado lawmakers to spend $750 million a year on roads is no longer on the November ballot. Democratic lawmakers reached a compromise with the contracting group behind the measure. The Colorado Contractors Association had spent $2 million collecting signatures to get that issue in front of voters. In exchange for pulling it, Democratic lawmakers promised $120 million for roads next year and a new ballot measure in 2027, asking voters to raise taxes for sustained funding.
It's never been really a disagreement about whether or not we need to fix our roads in the state of Colorado. It's been a question of how we do that, and that is the conversation that we've committed to.
Not every Democrat is on board with how this deal came together.
These cockamamie things on there that we have to say, oh my God, this is going to look good to the public, and they might vote for it, and it's going to cause complete chaos in this building, and that's extortion.
Do you feel like you've extorted lawmakers?
I don't think that's the right word. I think when you look at politics, politics is always compromise.
Lawmakers could generate new money for road repairs by raising registration fees for certain drivers. Any long-term sustainable funding will have to be a tax increase voters consider on the ballot.
Voters in Colorado will find out tomorrow if their November ballots will include a question on funding for the Front Range passenger rail. The rail board will decide tomorrow whether to refer a ballot issue asking voters in communities along the rail line to approve a sales tax to fund $1.7 billion in infrastructure. The train is now being called the Colorado Connector, or COCO for short. Last month, the board approved a plan to launch daily trips between Denver and Fort Collins in 2029, with stops in 6 cities along the way. The plan is to eventually have trips from Pueblo to Fort Collins, but they need funding from voters to help make that a reality. While some of the stations already exist, like Union Station in Denver, most still need to be built.